my God, this dude is garbage.
In the vehicle. According to police, Lauren had cuts on her head. Her eye was swollen shut, and the car had blood spattered at the front and found the pistol covered in blood on the
Man. Oh my God.
floorboard. Rivers reportedly had blood on his
Put me in, coach. Let me go have a word with him. Allegedly.
hands and face, but didn't appear to be injured. Lauren told police and paramedics the 23-year-old got mad because she was talking to another man, and the beating had lasted an hour. She explained to police she had been screaming for help at any car that passed by, but he covered her mouth. Rivers was arrested and charged with 2 counts of aggravated kidnapping, 1 count of aggravated stalking, and 1 count of coercion of a witness. Then about a week later, a judge set Rivers'
That's a crazy looking dude right there. Holy hell. TikTok, he don't look like this right now. This must be like old as hell. That is a crazy looking dude right there. Oh my God. Dude looks like a boss from like Double Dragon, the video game. Looks like the Rock dude for sure. Oh my God.
bond at a
Y'all see that? TikTok, if you're not watching, come over to YouTube. The Mystery Project on YouTube, you can watch it. YouTube, hit that thumbs up, but we don't have 100 likes yet, y'all. Come on. Everybody watching, thumbs up.
$250,000. Lauren's father, Lance Johansson, would tell local station WLOX he was in the Nashville courtroom and told the judge if they let Rivers out of jail, Rivers was going to kill Lauren. Adding it was the 5th or 6th time they got into a fight and Rivers would beat her. Their family would try to get Lauren away from him, but Rivers would always weasel his way back in. The
Oh, no.
warning to the judge was ominous.
Man, if I was that dad, I'd have handled that too, allegedly. If somebody's coming after your family, you have the right to defend your family. I'd have handled that real quick.
It's because within months of the bail hearing, the horrific murder occurred. On March 13th, Rivers requested a reduced bond. Then weeks after the request, a judge would approve the reduced bond to $150,000, which Rivers was able
Why the hell did they let that dude out? Man, that is crazy as hell.
to post.
And I think you had a case here where it was clear that the family made clear to the judge that if this individual got out, their child would eventually be killed, and they were right. And so we have to ask some questions about the decision making on the judge's part
Man, that's crazy. Sued. Remember that, y'all? We used to go sued, sue everybody.
lower the bail. And then it seems like there was just a domino effect of mistakes along the way that resulted in his ability to be able to travel wherever he wanted without any regard for the GPS monitoring, for the judge, for the courts, and be able to eventually commit the crime that is believed that he did.
Law and crime
That's crazy.
legal analyst Julie Rindelman explains the judge's
So sad.
decision to reduce bond would spark a tragic and devastating domino effect.
Look, I hate to Monday morning quarterback a judge's decision. I think from the evidence, it sounds like this is a young woman that had been beaten and battered before the initial arrest. The arrest itself involved a beating from what we've been told to basically a pulp, where there was blood everywhere in the vehicle.
Sweet baby Jesus.
Where there were clear signs that this was an individual that, if let out, was potentially going to injure her more severely or kill her, such that the father made it clear that that was clearly something that could happen.
Rivers' bond came with conditions. Rivers was reportedly ordered not to leave Davidson County, Tennessee, and was ordered to wear a GPS monitor after posting bond. Then in a May hearing, Rivers and his mother asked for the condition of his bond to be changed so he could live in Mississippi and not Davidson County. However, the judge denied that request. In June, Rivers' assigned probation officer sent a copy of the judge's order to Tracking Solutions, a GPS monitoring company, and it was requested an email be sent to the district attorney's office to get the appropriate addresses for exclusion zones. Rivers' attorney then provided the courts with an address he would allegedly be staying at in Davidson County.
It is not an easy job for a judge to make a decision when it comes to, especially these domestic violence cases, because you don't know what someone is capable of. And
So you err on the side of caution. That's not difficult at all. You go, oh, I don't know what you're capable of, but we do know what you did already. Jail. Stay there. Stay there. Stay there.
you can
That is crazy as hell.
release someone who has not committed a incredibly, I guess we'll call it serious domestic violence case, and they can still go out and kill. This case is a little unique because the signs seemed to be there. Remember the initial beating, he had a gun with him. And it wasn't the first time he had beaten her. And it wasn't that he beat her lightly. He beat her so significantly.
That is sick. You go burn in hell for that one, dude.
And it wasn't a simple assault where he slapped her. This is an individual that had beaten her severely. So the signs seemed to be there. And it was incumbent on everybody along the way.
Yeah, how is that not attempted red rum? Emma, that's what I'm saying. The first one. How was that not attempted?
To ensure that if they were going to release him, which I think many of us have questions about whether they should have, that they were going to release him.
And look at that dude's eyes. That dude's dark as hell. Looking crazy.
Within parameters that protected the victim who deserved to be protected.
Court records would show Bryson Rivers was let out of jail on Monday, June 20.
Thank you, Dolly and Penelope, for joining me. I'm so excited to hear how AI is shaping the professional services industry and specifically within your companies. So one of the things with AI is, speed and agility and driving decision making. How are you thinking about that, Penelope?
I'm talking from the lens of a company like Accenture, 46 countries, 750,000 people who have to be placed every single day. Being able to analyze the macroeconomic and microeconomic conditions of all of these different geographic locations, being able to synthesize the skills that all of our people have and how those are applicable in what's currently happening in those markets. These things used to take months. The advent of AI has really allowed us to predict what's going to happen in these locations and move supply ahead of demand. It's a very complicated dance, but for us, it's a real impact.
AI and skills has been such an inflection point for us. It's so critical.
What is that?
4th at 4:05 p.m., despite a bond order noting that Rivers should not be released from jail after 4 p.m. because tracking solutions would be closed by that time.
I'm shaking my head because I'm not, and I should be, but anyone who works in the justice system recognizes the lack of responsibility that often occurs, especially when people aren't talking to each other, people aren't reading documents that they're supposed to be reading. And those few minutes are kind of what helped this chain reaction occur, because that's how the bondsman ended up going to a different GPS company. That's how they didn't know what the bond was supposed to be for. Now, don't forget, there does come a point where they do know that he's not allowed to travel outside of the state. They put a new GPS monitor on it, but he still managed to travel outside the state. And so we still don't have answers as to what happened then.
You what? Man, you crazy as hell. How does that happen? Oh, we didn't even know what he's... Oh, we're supposed to put this on? Oh, he's not supposed to leave the state? Oh, we should just let him leave the state. What?
How dare you?
That's crazy.
Why was no one alerted immediately? Remember, she's killed so shortly after he's released, and I think people fail to realize how quickly it was that she ended up being the victim of a domestic violence murder.
So instead of
Dear Lord.
bail bonding agent who also signed Rivers' release form took him to a different company, Freedom Monitoring Services. Court documents detailed more, as Freedom Monitoring reportedly said the bond order wasn't available at the time. So they took Rivers' word that he was allowed to return to Mississippi, and they didn't set the GPS tracking perimeter to Davidson County.
I've certainly seen mistakes made.
Are you serious? Sue? Oh my God. If this family doesn't immediately, file a lawsuit against the company that took the defendant's word. Hey, defendant guy that we're supposed to be putting a GPS monitor on, are you able to leave the county? Absolutely I am. Yeah, I don't even know. You know what? Actually, I'm not even supposed to be here. What? Oh, I thought this was Chipotle. I was about to get myself a chicken burrito. Oh, I stepped in the wrong damn place. GPS. Nope. I was trying to add guac, trying to get that hot salsa, a little sour cream action. I need to get the hell on out of here. I'm going to Mississippi. What kind of craziness is that? That is nuts. I'm pissed now. I'm mad about this one. That's crazy, isn't it? YouTube, we got 21 likes to 100. Thank you so much, y'all. Hit the thumbs up button. Hit the subscribe button if you like true crime. My name's Patrick. I'm live every night. TikTok, do the same thing. Tap the screen like crazy. Hit the follow button. Thanks for being here. And come over to YouTube, The Mystery Project on YouTube. That's the name of the true crime channel on YouTube. Come subscribe and hang out with us. You get to see the video. I'm supposed to put a GPS tracker on you. Why would you put a GPS tracker on somebody? Because you want to know where they are, which probably means they're not supposed to go somewhere. Why else would they put a GPS monitor on someone? That is dumb. Sue. Jennifer, yes, we sure are. Yep, you can watch on YouTube and Rumble. Just search The Mystery Project.
And remember, the bondsman knew he wasn't allowed to travel also and didn't say a word. And I'll be frank, it isn't just about them. The DA's office makes a call to the father, but the DA's office, at least not from the records I've seen so far, doesn't follow up necessarily with the judge. There were mistakes along the way, really, in terms of...
Mistakes? Man...
I started using custom hair care from Pros because I was starting to feel like I wasn't using the right products for my hair type. My hair has always been straight, but with like a slight wave, a bit of frizz, some dried ends, which according to TikTok means naturally wavy hair that just isn't treated right. So I took the Pros quiz and it told me my exact hair type and what products would help my hair lean into its natural form. My custom formula is perfect for slightly wavy hair. It's like definitely more moisturizing than straight hair products, so it gives me some nice like volume and shine, but it's not as heavy as curly hair products, so it doesn't like make it greasy and weigh it down. Just gives me like perfect natural waves that stay all day. I can't even think about how much time and money I would have spent on trail.
Putting like forgetting to put the clothes in the dryer, that's a mistake. You know what I mean? Or putting your comforter in the dryer but not turning it on, that's a mistake. All right? This is a catastrophic failure on so many people. Literally, a catastrophic failure. Oh my God. Man, if I was this girl's parents, man, metaphorically, heads would be rolling.
Everyone involved in this case, other than Lauren and her family, as to how it was that he eventually was able to travel. I have to add something, Elizabeth. You know, GPS monitoring, orders of protection, they don't stop someone from committing a crime. If you want to commit a crime, you're going to go, if you want to violate an order of protection, you're going to go and violate the order of protection. If you want...
But you're supposed to be able to see that person's doing that so they can intercept them from doing something.
To ignore GPS monitor, you're going to travel, you're going to be, there's going to be signs that you left the area, but it's not going to stop you from doing it. The reason it matters is because it makes someone resist sometimes that urge to commit the crime that maybe they wouldn't necessarily have done. And that's the reason that it's so significant.
It wouldn't be until 4 days later on Friday, June 28th, when Freedom Monitoring would receive the bond paperwork. By that time, the company also received a no communication alert from Rivers' GPS monitoring. So they reportedly contacted him and ordered him to return to Nashville to be fit for a new monitor. But on the same day, Rivers' probation officer reached out to Tracking Solutions, which was the court-ordered GPS monitoring service, and informed Rivers' probation officer he never reported to them. So Tracking Solutions sent a violation report to the district attorney's office to let the DA's office know he was in violation of his bond conditions. The DA's office would inform Lauren's father that Rivers hadn't reported for an ankle monitor or had been heard from. However, Lauren's father wouldn't hear that message until 3 days later. On Saturday, June 29th, Rivers would return to Nashville to be fitted with a new GPS monitor. Then 2 days later, on July 1st, Freedom Monitoring said his monitor battery went down to 6% and placed a call to him shortly after 10 p.m. to charge it, which he reportedly did. But then around midnight, Rivers called to say he wouldn't be able to make it to court in Nashville the following day because he didn't have a ride. But on this day, Lauren's father's worst nightmare would come true. He discovered the message left by the district attorney's office from that past Friday and said he can no longer get in touch with Lauren, but also received a text that didn't seem like it came from his daughter. The next day, Lauren's father received a notification her Life 360 tracker had been turned off. Lauren's sister, who she lived with at the time, said she wasn't at home and that the security camera at their front door had been destroyed, prompting Lauren's family to report the 22-year-old as missing.
Oh my God.
Around 10 a.m. on that same day of July 2nd, Freedom Monitoring said Rivers' battery started dying and he wasn't responding to messages throughout the day. So officials contacted his mother, who said she hadn't heard from him or seen her son. So the court then issued a warrant for Rivers for being in violation of court orders after they learned he had been in Mississippi since June 24th and on a GPS monitor with the wrong company. His last location before the monitor died showed Rivers was in Biloxi, Mississippi. But then the case would take a
Oh God, not Biloxi.
devastating turn, as the Harrison County Coroner's Office said that same day Lauren was killed. Police discovered her body a day later on July 3rd when Hattiesburg PD used OnStar to track Lauren's car to a cemetery in Harrison County. While arriving at the scene, authorities say Rivers was seen running from the car, and that's when police made the gruesome discovery in Lauren's car, as she was found wrapped in trash bags and sheets. After the devastating discovery, a 6-hour manhunt ensued to find Rivers, who was ultimately tracked down in the woods and taken into custody. He now faces charges including kidnapping, possession of a controlled substance, and murder. At this time, it's unclear if Rivers entered a plea, so it's unclear if down the line the case will go to trial.
So I think anytime
Man, you'll burn in hell.
there is a murder case, several questions come up. What is the offer going to be? Does a person want to take responsibility because they don't want to put the family through a trial knowing what the ultimate result's going to be?
This guy doesn't seem like the kind of dude that, yeah. How do you need to put, I should say Lauren. Does it say Lauren, y'all?
And I think it's also what the evidence is. I think we know
Let me refresh it.
here that he's caught nearby. I think there was a manhunt for 4 hours after he fled the vehicle where her body is found. And I think that with the GPS showing that he's in the area, I think he and his attorneys recognize that he's in big trouble. But the question really is, what's the offer and whether he's willing to take it?
As Rivers remains behind bars on a now 6-figure bond amount, Rindleman explains it's surprising.
Oh, they're gonna reduce that bond too? You crazy judge? You what? You gonna reduce that bond?
He was issued a bond despite his previous violations.
If he had been arrested in New York, for example, I don't think there's any question that he would have been on remand. Other states are different. A lot of states don't do remand. They do $1 million or $2 million. So it surprises me, unless I hate to say this, unless the judge is confident that he can't make bail. Because if the judge is confident he can't make bail, or there's no bond conditions of which the judge believes he can meet, then in a sense, $1 million really is remand.
Lauren's murder caused devastation for her loved ones, as her family remembers her as a doting animal lover who brought a smile to everyone's faces. According to a GoFundMe page for the family, her final wishes were if something were to happen to her, she asked that her brothers, sister, mom, and her beloved rescue cats be taken care of, prompting many questions to be left unanswered. Mainly, how, with all the legal systems in place, could this horrific tragedy still occur?
A GPS monitor is put in place for certain reasons. The GPS, for example, is to track an individual, right? So that if they violate, meaning if they leave the state or they go outside the county, the agency is immediately notified. They're supposed to immediately notify the court and bring that person in. But again, it doesn't stop the crime.
No, they took his word. They took his word. He goes in, I can go wherever I want.
From happening. It just puts a little bit added protection that there'll be a warning potentially before it happens. And so again, the conduct of this defendant, assuming he is the person perpetrator committing this crime, which I think the evidence is pretty clear, he is ultimately responsible. But there needs to be accountability for everybody else along the way as to how
Yup.
ended up.
So
Online records show Bryson Rivers is still behind bars in the Harrison County Adult Detention Facility in Gulfport, Mississippi.
that's where you're gonna live for the rest of your life, dude. And then you're gonna burn in hell.
From laminate and vinyl to tile and wood, Floor & Decor has more options for pros, homeowners, and anyone looking for the right look at the right price. Your next beautiful space is at Floor & Decor.
Attention patients exposed to urologist Darius Paduch. Paduch has been criminally convicted for exploiting male patients under the guise of medical care. If you thought your varicocele procedure, ED, or Klinefelter's treatment by Paduch was questionable, we have the answers. Join the hundreds of men seeking justice, accountability, and compensation.
Jail, then hell.
He is being held on a $1 million bond.
Wow. Yeah, that was gonna piss me off too, y'all. That was Lauren Johannesson. Oh my word. Okay. This one says a man called 911 and claimed a woman suffered an OD at the Palms Casino and Resort. But apparently, since we're talking about it, I guess that's not what happened. So let's see what kind of craziness this dude probably did. Hang on, let me swap it out. There we go. YouTube, hit the thumbs up button. By the way, we've got 9 likes to get to 100. So everybody watch it, hit the thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button if you're new here. TikTok, hit the follow button. My name's Patrick. If you like true crime, I'm live every single night. We need 4 more of the hand hearts as well. And if you want to watch the video, come on over to YouTube. Search the
An overdose, but no further inspection. It looks like while she was hung naked in the room, an unknown caller, it looks like she was assaulted.
A suspicious death in a Las Vegas hotel room causes a flurry of confusion after it's determined it might not have been an accident as initially thought. Now, a man is behind bars charged with murder for allegedly confessing.
Oh, you a crazy looking Ted Bundy looking SOB. Oh my God, man, look at that dude. Holy hell, that's a crazy looking dude right there.
Into killing a purported sex worker. And the craziest part is how detectives determined this suspect was involved. We break it down with Las Vegas criminal defense attorney Michael Troiano. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. I want you to listen to this sequence of events. So last month, on June 12th at around 5 p.m., a man called 911, reporting a woman in his hotel room at the Las Vegas Palms Casino Resort had overdosed. The man identified himself simply as Kendall, told the dispatcher he was no longer with her in the room. Okay, it's odd, but wouldn't be the first time I'm sure the police receive a call like this.
Especially in Las Vegas.
But then what happens? So hotel security, they respond to the room, and they find single mom of 2 young children, 30-year-old Larissa Garcia, seriously injured with a...
She's a mom, too?
...cut, a laceration on her left jawline, and she was only wearing underwear. Now, according to an arrest report, police were not immediately dispatched because it was thought to be a possible overdose. But Garcia was taken to the hospital, where even more questions arose because hospital staff ultimately called Las Vegas police, saying that Garcia's injuries were not consistent with what was originally thought.
911 emergency, Hill 20472. Do you need police, fire, or medical?
Police.
And you said this is Spring Valley Hospital?
Yep, emergency room. Can we take a patient from the Palms Room 11117. It looked like it got called in as an overdose, but on further inspection, it looks like, well, she was found naked in the room, an unknown caller. It looks like she was assaulted. She has like bruises and lacerations.
Was she sexually assaulted?
Unknown at this time, but they're actually intubating right now. She's pretty critical. We're not quite sure what's wrong with her, but she's not breathing.
You said she came from the Palms Casino, correct?
Yeah, it was an unknown caller. They don't know who called, but there was someone like, it looked like a man.
They're gonna find you on the security footage, I hope.
Items in the room, but no one was there. We thought it was like an overdose, but she's not responding to Narcan.
And at this point, Garcia was in critical condition. And to further confirm the suspicion of what's happening, a toxicology report came back negative for drugs or alcohol in Garcia's system, which ruled out the accusation that she had overdosed.
OD.
Now, immediately, police set their sights on the 911 caller, Kendall, but they didn't really know who he was or where he was. That is until they arrived back at the Palms Hotel to learn that the room where Garcia was found was registered to a man named Jason Kendall, who they later determined to be a 35-year-old U.S. Army veteran. Now, after tracking Kendall down, detectives reportedly meet with him at a nearby hotel. He refuses to give a statement, immediately asks for a lawyer. Back to Garcia for a second. She ended up suffering.
Did he really think that they weren't going to find out that you were the one who rented the room? Like, you have to have a credit card, an ID, and they're just gonna be like, oh, we don't know, Kendall, who's that?
A severe brain injury, likely caused by strangulation or suffocation, and she was declared brain dead on June 21st.
Oh, hell.
And about a week after Garcia's death on June 28th, that is when the whole story changes. Why? Because Jason Kendall apparently turned himself into police and reportedly confessed to strangling Garcia to death and sexually assaulting her. The police report states that Kendall admitted to paying Garcia for sex, around $2,000, but when Garcia allegedly asked for more money, he says he snapped, hit her in the face, choked her for 10 minutes before having sex with her. And you know what really confirmed he was likely the police's main suspect, that he wasn't making this up? He apparently was captured on surveillance video with Garcia in the resort lobby just hours before the 911 call. After about an hour, Kendall reappears on tape, leaving the hotel alone, and according to reports on that video, no one else entered or exited the room until hotel security arrived. So Kendall was charged with open murder, sexual assault, and battery by strangulation to commit sexual assault. He's being held without bail. His next court date is set for early next month, and a GoFundMe has been set up by a friend of
Ain't crazy as hell.
Garcia. It's raised
He'll burn in hell for that too.
more than the set goal amount of $15,000 to help cover the unexpected funeral costs and celebration of life. Again, a mother to 2 children. We want to talk about this right now with Las Vegas criminal defense attorney Michael Troiano. Michael, thanks so much for coming on. Is this case getting a lot of attention where you are right now?
Yeah, it's been all over the media, thus me being here. And as you went through in great detail, the very strange set of circumstances, I mean, he essentially has put himself on a platter for police and is walking himself straight to a conviction with his confession.
Sorry about it.
Yeah, any way
Good.
to defend this based upon the facts that I laid out?
Yeah, right. I mean, that's the first job of a criminal defense attorney, is to try to brainstorm. So what do we know as a fact? We know as a fact that the hotel room was rented in his name. So that's what we would call a bad fact of the business. As you said, it's the cameras have only him going in. Security in Las Vegas casinos are world renowned. There's cameras everywhere. Yeah. Typically, they have documentation regarding each and every time someone uses the room key to enter and exit the room. So that's got him fairly locked in. I'm sure that they have video surveillance, so they're going to soon be gathering of it, of him driving to the hotel. Some of the articles and information that I've read states that they have information regarding him searching regarding sex work, and those two, him and the victim, exchanging information. So it seems, at least at this point, there's no doubt he was in the room. So that's going to be a tough hill to climb if they're going to say that it wasn't him. So I'm not sure if this necessarily was a whodunit. It's more likely going to turn into, potentially, depending on the evidence and the medical examiners, if there is any sort of argument for self-defense, that, as he stated initially, he provided $2,000, and then she said basically, nope, I'm taking this money, time to up the price, what we would call in the business a trick roll. So maybe that's one of the first avenues that his defense attorney is going to have to look into, to see if there's any sort of cooperating evidence based upon his statement that he could defend her, or try to get the confession out, see if he wasn't Mirandized, or if he was under the influence of narcotics himself, or if there's some sort of mental health issue that would rise to the ability of maybe putting an insanity defense. But insanity defense is very, very, very difficult to put on.
And also, I'll give you another bad fact. Apparently, Garcia had sent a text to someone saying she was meeting a man named Jay at the hotel. So, Jason Kendall. You walked through a lot of different areas where this could be explored. First of all, I think the difficulty, right, was saying the confession, was coerced or he wasn't Mirandized properly. Isn't it complicated by the fact that he seemingly voluntarily went to police? It'd be different if he was picked up, he's put in a room, there's no, they don't provide food, they don't provide him the Miranda rights, they keep him all night. But the idea that he voluntarily shows up, that's where I think it could be complicated. Although, as you mentioned, if he was not in the right state of mind and saying things that weren't true, that would be the only way you get out of it, right? Like either he was making it up or he, was under the influence of something and wasn't recounting the exact details of what happened in that room correctly, right? I think that would be the only way to get past that.
Sure, showing up definitely changes the legal analysis and fact pattern for his defense attorney, because initially, before you even get into the Miranda concerns and what he was properly informed of, or his mindset at that time is, was he detained? Was he just having a casual conversation? Because law enforcement tries to play that off a lot. Well, he wasn't detained. We were just having a friendly conversation with him about a murder case, right? You see that kind of exaggeration, if you will. But in this particular circumstance, the fact that he went in himself, sure, that's going to be a part of the legal analysis. But what happened when he got there? What room was he brought in? Was law enforcement, as they typically do, carrying guns? Did they place him in handcuffs? Did they give him water and other things like that to make him feel comfortable? And was he free to leave? That's a really big part of the analysis too. And if not, then that's going to be something that they're going to be looking into in great detail.
I want to ask you about why he would turn himself in, and I will tell you why I'm saying that, because we have a source who said that Kendall went to a lawyer's office on June 18th for a consultation, so this was after the alleged assault, before turning himself in. Do you think there was anything said during the course of that consultation, or even the idea that, if this is true, he went to a lawyer, that he maybe thought it was best for him to turn himself in as opposed to police catching him?
I don't know too many attorneys that are going to say turn yourself in, so I'm not going to say that whoever he may or may not have met with gave him that legal advice. If at any point you were in the very rare and unusual circumstance in which your client was going to turn themselves in, whether just to be booked or potentially to have a conversation or an interview with detectives, the first thing you would do is reach out to the detectives as counsel, let them know that he has confirmed as his attorney of record and that he has those type of protections, and set some parameters for your client for their protection and their safety. In addition, in the case of this high media status, I would also believe that a defense attorney who is qualified would reach out to the district attorney's office to let them know, hey, we're going to be coordinating with law enforcement to potentially have a discussion. So I'm not doubting your source that he went to a lawyer's office, but I highly doubt he followed that attorney's advice.
By the way, what is the open murder charge? Can you explain that to us? What do you need to prove it? How does that work in Las Vegas?
Yeah, so in Nevada, the way that it works is they don't have to specifically come down initially and say, hey, this is first-degree murder with malice aforethought, or this is second-degree murder, which is any other type of murder, or this is this is the felony murder rule. We also have different layers underneath that, we call it lesser included, if you will. Voluntary manslaughter, involuntary manslaughter. So basically anything from involuntary manslaughter all the way up the gambit to first-degree murder is on the table.
And do you think they're trying to assess what exactly happened in that room? So they're not just taking his account for it, but they're also seeing what the physical evidence has to say as well?
Yeah, that's what a proper law enforcement investigation should do. I can't name the case off the top of my head, but there's a pretty famous story that's not necessarily an old wives' tale, where a gentleman would keep going into law enforcement and confessing to murders that he didn't commit. And it turned out years later, he actually did commit some offenses, and he was using that almost as a red herring. And that's probably one of the main reasons why they would do such things, because the defense attorney can say, hey, disregard what my client said, he was out of his mind, or he was just making up a story, trying to get attention, whatever it may be. Look at the facts, look at the evidence, and that's going to be law enforcement's job.
I want to take a step back for something. We cover a number of different crimes here on Law and Crime and on Sidebar. Some of them are in rural communities, some of them are on the outskirts, all different across the nation. I always find it very peculiar and very unique when you see a crime committed in a big city. So we covered one recently that happened in Manhattan. I love Las Vegas. I've been to Las Vegas thousands of times. You're from Las Vegas. How often do you see something, born and raised, how often do you see something like this happening in a major Las Vegas hotel room?
At Novo Nordisk, we know that your true greatness comes from within. We also know that when you live with obesity, diabetes, cardiovascular conditions, or hemophilia, it's that much more important to embrace that greatness and not let your condition define you. Your greatness, never forget it and never let it go. At Novo Nordisk, it's your greatness that drives us to do more, to be better, to change lives. Novo Nordisk. Driving change for over 100 years.
Aluminum-free deodorant for pits, feet, and more isn't a myth, it's native.
Nate? Why this one?
What else is there?
Got
They're tiny.
Try Native, an effective whole body spray made with natural propellants. Clean all-day odor protection isn't a myth, it's Native.
Oh!
Aluminum-free deodorant for all-day odor protection isn't a myth, it's Native.
There's a lot of disturbances. I mean, if you're asking me like this specific fact pattern,
I can imagine stuff happens in Las Vegas hotel rooms, okay? But I'm talking about like a murder, I mean, or an alleged murder, something like that happening in as you mentioned, this is a hotel, there's cameras, there's surveillance, there's security. The idea of having those witnesses, there's a lot of rooms. This happening, an attack like this in a Las Vegas hotel room?
it's more often than you would think. Las Vegas media out here does a great job, and as technology gets further along through the years, it's harder and harder for the casinos to hide things. But the casino industry is still the major industry in Las Vegas and essentially all of Nevada. And as we grow up as a city and we're getting closer, we're just barely above 2 million and change or so in Clark County as far as population, and the projections are closer to 3 million in the next 10, 20 years. They're getting better, but at the same time, the casinos have a vested interest to protect the sanctity of their environment, because if you started
what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
In cases like this, continually, tourists may not want to come because of what's going on. Is it safe to go? And so safety, fun, experience is a big selling point as Vegas is a world-class destination for gaming, dining, and entertainment.
Well, let me couple that with this question. Based upon the account of Mr. Kendall, he claims that Garcia was working in the adult industry. How often do you see, and if we're taking that as true, how often do you see violence against people in that industry?
Constantly. And I see it both ways. I know what we call them Johns, if that's, I know his name is close to that, but a John is a term basically for a gentleman or female, I guess, that is going to solicit a prostitute for sexual acts. And the female side of that, essentially, they'll try to do a trick roll. Basically, they'll show up to a hotel room, drug them, steal their Rolex watch, demand $2,000 and say, oh, that's fine, or excuse me, give them $2,000 and then say, no, we want more, and play those kind of games. So yes, I've represented a gambit of people that are been involved in both sides of that transaction, if you will.
By the way, he has a preliminary hearing scheduled for August 6th. The way I mean, it works in other jurisdictions, I imagine it's the same way. It's where the prosecution has to present evidence to show probable cause that it'd be enough to move it forward to trial, right? I mean, is that what we're expecting, some of this to be presented at that preliminary hearing?
Sure. So yeah, you said it, probable cause. It's a probable cause determination, as I explained it to clients who come in for a consultation. Preliminary hearing is a low burden of proof. Slight or marginal evidence is what you need to present it. And specifically in the state of Nevada, a judge or a justice of the peace who's proceeding over the case at this stage of the proceedings cannot even judge credibility. So for an example of a case where it's just a he said, she said kind of thing, and I know that's not the case here, she's deceased, but just hypothetically in those type of situations, even if the victim was to take the stand and come off completely incredible to the judge, and your client was to take the stand and come off just absolutely perfect, the judge and the justice of the peace, at a preliminary hearing does not have the ability to rule on credibility. That is a question for the jury, and that is why so many cases get what we call bound over and pushed up into the higher district court, because they say that's a question for the jury or a question of fact. So as far as the preliminary hearing is concerned, I tell clients what we call it a baby or a mini trial. They're not going to put on all their evidence. They're not going to put on all their witnesses. They just want to get in, get their slight or marginal evidence or their probable cause, and get out and get up to district court where the real fight begins.
And to be clear, based on everything I laid out, they present maybe even a fraction of this. I would imagine there's enough to hold this over for a trial. But let me ask you this. In a case like this, again, the reporting is he turns himself in, we have a preliminary hearing. Do you think we would see some movement here in the case? By that, do you mean, would you be surprised after a preliminary hearing we could see, a plea or a plea offer on the table? Do we see that usually after a preliminary hearing? I'm just wondering, considering how bad this evidence is against Mr. Kendall right now.
Right. I mean, both parties, being the state and the defense, are going to need some time. So I would bet that it's not going to go forward on August 6th. I have no inside information, just going off my 16 years of experience of doing this. A murder case, he's going to be held no bail. So it's not like he's going anywhere. And if he is even remotely in a position where he's going to take the advice of his counsel, I would suggest, hey, we don't need to rush this and go forward on August 6th. Let's collect some evidence and have a better evaluation. But to, I guess, more directly answer your question, once it gets past the preliminary hearing, yeah, that's an appropriate time to have that conversation regarding potential negotiations. I don't think it's going to come quickly unless the defendant in this case is just basically, hey, I did it, I have remorse, this is the worst
guilty
decision of my life, and lays it out and instructs his attorney, just tell them I'm ready to deal, I don't want to put the family through this. Absent that, they're going to go through everything, and that's important on both sides because they have the option to go to the death penalty. I don't know if that's been decided yet or not. That's something that the state does, that they have to present a notice of intent to seek death. We still have the death penalty here in Nevada.
Yup, and it's in Carson City.
And especially if that is on the table at any point, then you can forget about the negotiation anytime soon.
Would this be a case that would qualify for that? And how often is that imposed in Nevada?
I don't have a percentage for you. Basically,
It's Nevada, Jesse.
the Clark County District Attorney's Office has a committee, and they review that and make that determination of whether or not they're going to do it. Sometimes they'll do it and revoke it at a later time, as it is their choice. And basically, they got to look into the aggravating circumstances of this particular case. So, as gruesome as it sounds to us and to her family and loved ones,
I chose Wix for my business because of its massive scope for functionality and
there may not be those aggravating circumstances in this particular case. I don't know a whole lot about the accused at this point. You mentioned that he has a military background. I did find some information that apparently he has a federal felony charge from West Virginia in about 2014, something involving drugs, but I don't have the exact details on that. Other than that, his criminal history seems pretty limited, but there may be more of what happened in that room that could lead to that decision.
Michael Troiano, really appreciate you coming up.
Damn.
And I enjoyed our conversation. Thank you so much.
Holy mackerel. You gonna burn in hell for that one too? You're gonna burn in hell for that one too. All right, we got one more. John, thank you. You're so sweet. Thank you for the love. I appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, we got one last case, y'all. YouTube, hit the thumbs up button. Let's get 200 likes. Come on, y'all. Everybody hit the thumbs up button. TikTok, thank you. Oh, thank you for hitting the goal. You guys are sweet. Thank you so much. Hit the follow button, tap screen like crazy. Almost 50,000 likes, y'all. Almost 50,000 likes. Thank you so much. Let's keep going. This one sounds really sad too, y'all. This one's 13-year-old girl fatally shot during an altercation at the Alderwood Mall food court. Oh no. Let's see what happened here.
Developing now, shockwaves rippling through one Snohomish County community this morning.
This after a 13-year-old girl was shot and killed inside a mall. This happened at the Alderwood Mall in Linwood. Police say that girl caught in the crossfire of a gun battle in the food court. Let's get right to Mo's Mo Hyder, who's been gathering new information as the story has developed overnight. Mo.
Yeah, of course, this is a very popular mall in the area, and as you mentioned, this happened inside at the food court. This was also at a time during dinner time when people were there with their family and friends as well. Go ahead and take a look at your
Oh my word. Don, thank you.
Screen here. This is from the Linwood Police Department. They have identified the victim as Jada Woods Johnson. We've learned there was an altercation inside between two groups, and that's when a teenager fired a gun and the bullet hit Johnson, who wasn't part of either group from what we were told. She had nothing to do with the altercation. We spoke to people who were inside at the time. They described the moments as scary and something difficult to process. One person who saw what happened to Johnson immediately tried to save her.
I ran to the person. She was laying on the floor. Her friend was freaking out. She lost consciousness, and then her pulse was dropping. So when her pulse was dropping, that's when we started doing CPR, mouth to mouth.
Oh my God.
We're also being told from there she was rushed to a nearby hospital where she later on died. There's still a lot to this investigation at this time. We haven't been told what this altercation was about, what led up to this as well. We're certainly keep you updated once we do get that.
Oh, she's just randomly in there trying to get her some pizza or something like that in the food court in the mall. This is crazy as hell. Darling Dad, right? Exactly. This is a huge reason why people shop online now. Yeah, exactly.
Information though for now. Live in Linwood, Mo Hyder, Como News.
And Mo, we know the suspect is in custody. What do we know about him and his arrest?
Yeah, hi. Well, according to the Linwood Police Department, they do.
Oh, thank God they got somebody arrested though.
Say he is a 16-year-old teenager from the Edmonds area. We also do know that his mother actually brought him to the police station where he then turned himself in. We're also
16 years old, acting crazy as hell.
You know, he's being booked in jail for murder. We have not been told about the potential charges he could face, so we're certainly keep you updated.
Oh my God, Don, thank you.
On that though, once we do find out.
All right, Mo Hyder reporting for us live this morning. Mo, thank you. We have reported on violence near the mall this year, but not inside until now. Back in February, Linwood police investigated armed carjackings outside the AMC Theater, which is outside the mall, but across
oh hell no
the food court entrance. 2 people were robbed at gunpoint, their cars were taken. 4 young people, including 2 14-year-olds, were later arrested in that case. The last violent incident in the mall's food court was back in 2017, excuse me, when a man stabbed a security guard during a scuffle over food handling practices. That guard was not seriously injured, and the person who stabbed him claimed he acted in self-defense.
Where the hell is this, y'all? What the hell mall is this? Does anybody know where this is? Like the actual location of this?
All right, that brings us to this morning's Come Up Post Poll, so grab your cell phone this morning. We have covered so many cases involving young teens and guns recently, so this is what we're asking this morning as you grab your cell phone. What do you think is the biggest driver of gun violence among young people? 43% there in the second spot saying perceived lack of legal consequences. 33%, so a third of our folks responding so far this morning saying a lack of parental guidance. 16% saying guns are too easy to access. You see these numbers changing live. 7% saying kids lack impulse control. Let us know what you think as we deal with another violent act involving teens. Just point your cell phone's camera.
Unbelievable.
That QR code on the right-hand side of your screen. There's going to be a link that pops out. Tap that with your finger, and that will take you directly to our poll at coanews.com.
Oh no, is this in Seattle?
No matter what type of severe asthma you have, Tespire can help you have fewer attacks and relieve your asthma symptoms. Tespire is an add-on treatment for people 12 and over. It is not a rescue medication. Don't take Tespire if you're allergic to it. Allergic reactions may occur and can be serious. Rash or eye allergy can happen. Don't stop your asthma treatments unless your doctor tells you to. Tell your doctor if you have a parasitic infection or your asthma worsens. Sore throat, joint, and back pain may occur. Avoid live vaccines. No matter who you are, ask your asthma specialist about Tespire.
This in Seattle?
By Linwood Police, this guy right here in this white hooded, with this white sweatshirt. Police said a teen here in the white sweatshirt is a suspect, and it might even be a hooded sweatshirt. It's hard to tell in this shot, but you can see it from the front here. A suspect in a shooting that happened in the food court this evening at Alderwood Mall. He remains on the run tonight. He's believed to be armed, and they're asking for anybody who recognizes this guy. I know it's a little hard to see his face, but maybe you recognize him just from the shot here to call 911. Ryan Sims joins us tonight. He's been working on the story all afternoon and evening long. Ryan, what's the latest for us tonight? What have you learned?
We learned some pretty troubling things about what happened here at the Alderwood Mall, Preston. First and foremost, the victim in this case...
I'm pretty sure this happened last night, y'all.
...is a teenage girl. We don't know her exact age, but she is a teenager and in more heart...
Or it was either yesterday or last Wednesday. Let me look again.
Breaking and troubling than that already is the fact that it is not an exaggeration to say that she was in the wrong place at the wrong time. I want to kind of picture this, paint this scenario. It was about 6:40 p.m. There are families here. It's teeming with people. After all, this is the day before a major holiday, so people have off tomorrow.
Yep. Last Wednesday.
They're spending the weekend they're spending the weekend at the mall, the beginning of the weekend. And what we learned is that this girl just happened to be walking in between two groups who were mouthing off at each other. And one of those groups pulls out a gun, fires at the other group. And this girl, unfortunately and tragically, was in the middle. And again, wrong place, wrong time. She was taken to the hospital with life-threatening injuries. We spoke to a witness who said that girl was shot square in the chest. One of the witnesses that we spoke to was just so compelling and awful to hear what he went through. All this happened.
My God, that is insane.
Right by his shop. He's an employee here at the mall at a clothing store. He hears the gunshot while everyone else is understandably running away. This guy has military experience. He told us that it is his training that when you hear trouble, because of his military experience, you don't run away from the trouble, you run towards the trouble. That's what he did. He was one of the first people to get to this girl as she's on the floor of the food court here, and he was among the people who gave her CPR, revived her, but he said that it was a struggle. She was shot in the chest, so it was a struggle to keep her around until medics arrived, but he did that. He and his friends also gave her, mouth to mouth. Again, it was part of CPR. Her pulse started to go down. They brought her back time and time again, and this guy said that, he never thought that something like this would happen. You see it in these worst case kind of scenarios. Obviously, they have drills for this here for employees to go through this here at the mall. But he said that, the fact that he had to use his military training and his military experience to help revive and keep alive a teenage girl who was, again, in the wrong place at the wrong time.
At the mall!
He said it just broke his heart, and you got to feel for him. We also spoke to other employees here who said that their training kicked in. Their training in terms of active drills, active shooter drills, where at the sound of those gunshots, they heralded everyone in, all the customers into their stores, shut those security gates that you see that they shut down at the end of the night. They shut those security gates down. All the customers who were in the store got put in the back. They hunkered down in the backs of those stores with the doors locked until they were given the all clear for police and, from authorities. So it was just a dramatic, sad day here at the mall. And it goes to, we got to underscore this too, that again, it was teeming with people. This is the beginning of a holiday weekend. And again, a lot of people had off tomorrow. So we saw more than usual, more than what we would normally see on a Wednesday night, families starting what would be a 4-day weekend here. And so
that's so sad.
Many of the people who had to hunker down here in the aftermath of this shooting said that they were traumatized, they were shaking after what occurred here, Preston.
Well, Ryan, talking about the actual mall itself, what happens there now? I know that was taped off by police tape today, and it was quite a mess as the lockdown took place, but there's that investigation.
Don, thank you.
Where that girl was shot. What happens after this?
Well, I think, yeah, you see there in the distance that there's still at least one police car there in the distance. We're going on about almost 5 hours since this all happened, so we have at least one, if not several, police vehicles on the scene. But it is our understanding from mall management and mall authorities that it is going to be business as usual. It's expected that police will wrap up sometime in the next few hours, and I checked.
He crazy as hell saying something like that after that happened. Business as usual?
Well, dang.
That's a little insensitive, isn't it?
The mall website, they say that they are still going to be open, business as usual, 11 o'clock tomorrow morning for a day that to be teaming with families, people heading out for 4th of July, doing some 4th of July.
Nurse KK, thank you. Shout out to the nurse.
Shopping. So despite everything that happened today and really kind of the frantic situation that occurred, it's going to be business as usual tomorrow, 11 o'clock in the morning here at the Alderwood Mall, Preston.
What a tragic situation. I know a lot of people are probably thinking tonight, it's safe to go to the mall now, and it's one of the only ones there in Linwood that people can actually go to. Hopefully things get safer from here. Ryan, thanks for the update tonight. We appreciate it.
So unfortunately, this evening at approximately 6:04 p.m., we had an altercation inside of Alderwood Mall near the food court involving two groups of people.
D-Lo, thank you.
During that altercation, one male pulled out a gun and fired a round, at least one round, towards the other group. Everyone then fled in different directions. Unfortunately and tragically, an uninvolved female was hit, and she was transported from the scene. I don't have any further information right now on that. Other than that, it was a teenage female. She was uninvolved with either party, based on our information.
In the food court trying to eat. Next thing you know, that's it. You're meeting Jesus. That's horrible.
Sent out via Twitter a still photo from Alderwood Mall security video, which they provided for us, of the person we believe to be the shooter. He's described as a black male teenager with a large afro. He appeared to be wearing a white sweatshirt with some type of black writing on it, and possibly white shoes. He also was, there was another group that was part of the altercation.
Spiritual Diamond, thank you.
And we were working on sending out a photo of those males. At this point, none of the involved parties are identified, and none are on scene any longer that we are aware of. The mall has been, is no longer in a lockdown. People are free to leave the mall. A search has been conducted. We had air overhead and canine on scene, but at this point, we don't have the suspects identified or in custody.
But then he turns himself in, y'all. That's what we learned at the beginning of this. That he did turn himself in. His mom brought him in.
So our heart is, of course, with this victim who was shot and had nothing to do with the altercation or anything else. And so our concern are with her and her family. And we've got everyone on scene doing a full investigation, both in conjunction with Alderwood Mall, who's assisting us, and with our fellow agencies in the area. I'm going to try to answer any questions. I don't have much additional information. Teenage, and I'd say older teenager.
School's gone out. This is a place where a lot of kids hang out for the summer or whatever. I mean, just kind of your reaction. There's a lot of young kids and just have you make them stay on.
Well, I think what I'd point out is the mall is a place for the whole community to gather, and the mall does a good job at security within the mall. This is really an altercation between two groups that chose to do it here at the mall. And so that's unfortunate and frustrating for the whole community, and to create gun violence in our midst is really disheartening and upsetting.
How many suspects are you guys?
We
currently the one, I think, huh? No,
I believe one person actually fired a gun. Then there is a different group of 4 to 5 males, so that's what we're trying to figure out right now. There could be more associated on either side, but those are kind of the basic info based on the video we've seen.
What your message be to just the community? Obviously, there's somebody who is responsible for the groups out there. You never know kind of the mentality somebody goes into when they're running from police, trying to get away from
Right, I would encourage it, and we did send out via Twitter a picture of our believed suspect, so if they know that person, please call 911. call a Linwood Police Department or come to the police station and provide that information anonymously or in person and give us that information so that we can track down those people in a safe manner and hold people accountable as the law.
Timothy, this happened up in Washington State, apparently around Seattle. Here's KK, thank you.
Expect us to, and yeah, if they know any, if they recognize any of them, they should call 911 and get that information to us.
How long was the food court unlocked?
How long? I don't know exactly. The incident happened at about 6 p.m., 6:04. People were locked down in various businesses for safety, and within the last 45 minutes, we made sure that we communicated both online and through in conjunction with mall security to let them know that we no longer had a shelter in place and they could leave. And then the additional thing I'd ask, if anybody was here at the mall and witnessed any part of this and then left, I would encourage them to, again, call 911 or call Linwood Police or come down so that we can get any information from them on anything they happen to witness.
Could I just get a quick synopsis with Kairos Mike's interview with our Mike's?
Sure. At 6:04 p.m., approximately inside the mall near the food court, there was an altercation between one group of teenagers and at least one other teenager. And then in response to that, a teenager pulled a gun and fired a round. And
what an idiot.
Tragically, that errant round hit an uninvolved teenage female.
And that dude was 16, y'all. 16-year-old kid.
Who's been transported from the scene. I don't know. I haven't heard that yet. She was... No, we have not recovered the gun.
Is this the first time this happened?
I mean, I've been around a long time, so I can think back a long time ago. Certainly, it's the only one in recent memory. It's not a normal event at all. Or anywhere in the.
I hope so.
And who responded?
Well, every officer in the area, of course from Linwood PD, but also we had great support from Snohomish County Sheriff's Office, Maui Terrace, Edmonds, and probably other agencies that I'm just unaware of that all responded to assist us either with a perimeter or with searching. We had the State Patrol Air Unit was on scene providing overhead coverage. We had K9s from out of the area come in to try to assist. So we had a pretty robust response immediately.
After the shooting, was this an argument?
Certainly an altercation, yes. Something precipitated it and then ultimately resulted in one person pulling a gun and firing at least one round.
And this was
Yes. At all indications, the female who was hit had nothing to do with either of those two groups.
We see this.
Still nothing to see. I didn't notice that horse. Oh, what is that? Hmm? What the hell? Why is it doing that? Oh, that's not damn bad. Lord have mercy.
Crazy. So, Bubble, thank you.
Team violence. We're seeing so much of it. Just seems to be on your thoughts of it. And I think we all agree it's an issue. Your thoughts on that. Here we are, another example of that.
Well, I think there's issues of accountability and parental oversight and
or lack thereof.
So, yeah, and alternatives to violence. I think we need.
KFO, good to see you. Thank you.
Encourage and enforce those, but I think accountability is also a big part of this, which can be difficult to within the criminal justice system with juveniles. It's a difficult thing to hold people accountable at times. I don't have that. I could find out, but I don't know.
Suspect.
India, she was only 13.
I do.
I can't help but notice you see your emotional.
I am. It's upsetting on a number of different levels. To have a totally innocent teenager hit is very upsetting. To have other teenagers engaged in this behavior on the eve of a national holiday, also upsetting. I grew up in this area. I went to this mall. I still.
Yeah, you can tell that this guy's he's pretty upset about it. He's torn up about it. Don, thank you. Damn, you guys are amazing. Thank you for all the love on TikTok tonight. Thank you, Marty. Thank you.
And so to have this kind of violence, senseless violence occur is upsetting. It's upsetting for the officers and, of course, anyone that was inside the mall trying to enjoy a pre-holiday shopping.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking.
Well, I guess Yes, in the sense that that person is armed or was armed, and we have not recovered that gun or that person. So there is a continued generalized threat to. I don't think it's. There's not a random ongoing thing, but the person is clearly a threat and needs to be taken in custody. Yes, the description and I did send out a photo via X or Twitter. Was a black male teenager, probably 15 to 18, with a large afro, wearing a white sweatshirt with black writing on it. And yeah, that's the details we have right now.
And his mom turned him in.
And you mentioned that they chose to do this here. Was that just
No. They didn't come here to do that event. No, it's just that they came here and then decided to engage in violent behavior. So that's what I mean. Not that they came here to do that.
What are some activities that kids could do besides just hanging out at the mall? Just because I know Linwood is doing some stuff, and maybe some stuff that's upcoming that kids and parents can enjoy with their families.
Well. 4th of July weekend, there's got to be fireworks shows all over the area. I would encourage everybody to attend. Safe and sane one. Family barbecue would be a good idea, or going to the park.
Yeah, staying home.
Park, engaging in, just better outlets than random violence, which is pointless and disheartening.
The investigation still going on. Do you think this may have been gang-related?
I haven't had any indication of that specifically. That's all I have for now. So watch Twitter. We will provide any additional photos that might assist the public in helping us identify these people. All right, thank you.
Oh man, that is freaking tragic, y'all. Bubbleguts, thank you. Don, thank you. Y'all are sweet. Thank you for the love. TikTok, you guys going crazy. Unbelievable, y'all. Just randomly in the mall, start yelling, bam. Somebody just standing off on the side. 13-year-old girl. Done. Donezo.
You what?
Unbelievable. But that's all I got for you tonight, y'all. That's all I got for you. So, hey, Don, thank you. So, YouTube, hit the thumbs up button. Thank you for being here. Thanks for hanging out, y'all. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, too, if you're new. My name's Patrick. If you like true crime, I'm live every single night. Basically every single night. Yeah. I guess I'm going to go get some sleep. Oh, my goodness. How does that happen? Love you guys. YouTube, take care. Rumble, thank you. Leave some comments, y'all. Go back and rewatch the videos. Always hit the thumbs up button. I love you guys. See you tomorrow night. Later. And TikTok. Yeah, God rest her soul.
Don't worry, guys.
It seems like a very cut and dry situation of a woman who suffered from abuse.
Alright. Brand new mystery, guys and gals.
Today's case is one that's been going wild all over the media with speculation, rumor, and all sorts of theories. I will say that when I looked into this case, it seems like a very cut and dry situation of a woman who suffered from abuse, tried leaving, and ended up dead. But as we look more into the information, we learn that this case isn't as black and white as it seems.